On this episode of the Subtle Foodie Podcast, we are episode number 2, and we're going to be talking to Melissa DeMello from The Woodlands Wanderer and Digital Craftery.
Sponsored by Fajita Pizza on Gosling, Anthony Compafelici's place, and Euro World Motorsports, your finest in European automotive upgrades and modifications.
Yeah, lots of those things. So we're going to be talking about some social media issues, some restaurant issues, and some really good places to eat that are a little unique, some outside the Woodlands. So come and join us. Hey guys, we're here with the second episode of the Subtle Foodie Podcast. We made it to number 2. That's awesome. Woohoo! Yeah. I'm here with Frank Lee, obviously, and Melissa DeMello. And so she is from The Woodlands Wanderer on Instagram and Digital Craftery. So I think this time we're going to have a little different. So you're not a chef, but you're a social media person. I'm going to call you a social media personality. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about some social media issues. We're going to talk about restaurants. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. But before we do, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you for having me.
And no problem. And so why don't you give us a little rundown about you? I know you've got a very storied and interesting past. So give us a little rundown just so we can get a sense of where you're from.
Sure. So I'm Melissa DeMello. I moved to the Woodlands about 5 years ago. And, I just grew up eating a lot of different cuisines because I grew up in the Middle East. My family's from India. And I think I've been on this perpetual hunt to find just a good combination of flavors wherever I travel, wherever I live. And Houston's got that. It's going to be very hard for me to leave this area and go somewhere else because Houston has just such a diverse culinary culture. So moved here about 5 years ago, started exploring the local area, restaurants, going down to Bel Air,
nice.
All of Houston, and started sharing that online as the Woodlands Wanderer.
Nice. And, your posts are, I hate to say this, but better pictures than the ones I take.
No way.
But you do actually get quite out. And you don't cover just food. You cover travel and kind of events and things like that. And you do that through Digital Craftery as well, right?
Right. So I used to work in corporate America and pharmaceuticals.
Nice.
And ethically, or creatively, it killed me. I had to kind of get out of that situation. And really, I started my Instagram account because it was a way for me to be creative. I love taking photos. And now creating videos. I actually really enjoy telling a story that way. I am all about doing local and finding things local. People think you need to travel thousands of miles to get that one different dish, and I don't think so. So, yes, I definitely try and support local makers, local businesses. And that's why I started my own business as well. I wanted to stop talking about how you can make a change and really try and make a change. So I've started a freelance with nonprofits in the area, and then ultimately started my business during COVID last year.
Nice.
To actually work with nonprofits, small businesses in the area.
Nice.
Melissa, what is the name of your business?
It's Digital Craftery.
Oh, okay. I thought he was describing the concept of Digital Craftery.
That would actually be UAR Digital Craft. I get it. Yeah.
So
then it is appropriately named.
Yes.
And our whole goal is, I think a lot of people just focus on social media or just one aspect of marketing, but there's a whole funnel to it. You have to capture people through different channels.
Right.
And it's not just investing all your time in social media. Yes, it's free. Maybe it appears easy, but really crafting a good digital mix so that kind of drives organic traffic and loyal customers.
Now, you said you moved to the Woodlands 5 years ago.
Yep.
What brought you here to begin with?
So my husband and I have this weird relationship. We've been together about 15, 16 years. And he was actually traveling to the Woodlands for 18 months before we moved here. He fell in love with the area. We love going out to hike and being in nature. And literally in the Woodlands, you can step outside your house and get on a trail. So that's what really appealed to us, and that it's growing. It's a good community, family oriented. And we love that over here. So we moved here from Delaware.
Oh, wow, that's a change.
The bustling metropolitan
Yep.
area that is Delaware. Yes.
It is evolving. I will say there are, I have returned because I actually ended up working for the company. It was AstraZeneca there. So I have gone back there and there are new things opening. But previously to that, we lived all over Pennsylvania, so Pittsburgh. And I love that city.
I lived in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, we were there for about a year and a half. Yeah, it's a great place, particularly for Italian food.
Well, my family's from Reading.
Okay.
I'm the first one in my family who does not live in Pennsylvania. And so we grew up importing cheese balls and Braunschweiger to Monroeville, Alabama.
All right.
So, yeah, but my mother taught German in our school, so German was a second language. And yes, we're very much a product of the Pennsylvania culture.
So I got to give Pittsburgh some props for food because, and I'm sure you know what this is. When we lived there, this was probably in the mid 80s, I got to say like 84, 85, something like that. And you would go down to the Italian Warehouse District, right, which was in town, and you would get a Piemonte sandwich, which when my first experience with it, it's these huge sandwiches. They're like this big. But they come out, there's no menus. There's just like a roll of paper towels on the table, or at least this was at the time. And you go in, and it's in this old warehouse district, and it smells of Italian groceries and olives and stuff, olive oil. And there's a big menu on the wall, and then you order the sandwich, and the sandwich, when it comes out, is piled high with meat and coleslaw and fries on the sandwich. But it comes out whole. And then the waitress, when she brings it out on wax paper, just drops it on your table, and then she just pulls out this giant knife if you want it cut in half, to cut it in half.
Which you need to probably
you need
four waters or something.
We don't have, Kenny and Ziggy's is probably the closest to big sandwiches that we have like that here. But not with the fries and the coleslaw.
But that was created for truckers. So truckers would pull into that warehouse and, how would they eat a sandwich? So they heaped everything on, one big pile and served it to the
That makes
truckers.
sense.
So
I didn't know this. I
They
learned
could
something
eat
new
it
today.
in their truck while they're waiting for the unload to happen, and then they could just roll straight out.
The import-export of the Italian trucking business. So lived in Pittsburgh, and so how did you? So you came back down here?
Well, so let me back up. I lived in the Middle East. I grew up there. I was born there on a little island called Bahrain. And from there, I moved to India because my family's from India. And I really wanted to kind of experience that a little bit. Traveled a little bit around India. I was in school or college. So, whatever college travel is. And then moved to Buffalo because I wanted to be somewhere.
You wanted some wings.
I wanted snow. And I very quickly got tired of that. So we just continued moving south, into Pennsylvania, Delaware, and then here in Texas.
The ducks, they come south for the winter.
But, Texas was an adjustment. Just the driving culture here. There's nothing like that in the Northeast. In an hour and a half, you can pass by a couple of states there.
Yeah.
And here you're barely into downtown.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah.
Well, it's an hour and a half from Houston to anywhere in Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's not a lot of traffic even right now. So
Now, here's one for you, a little piece of trivia. The physical city of Houston, the physical limits are larger than the state of Maryland.
I believe that.
In a city of about 9 million people.
Yeah, but who wants to go to Maryland?
Nobody.
Although they do have crab cakes.
Yeah.
I do like good crab
You
cakes.
fly through for the crab cakes.
It's true.
Visit the Harbor District.
True.
roll
Then you
out.
get out. Yeah. Now we're gonna get letters from somebody in Maryland
I have family in
and
Maryland.
Buffalo
I have family in Baltimore.
and Delaware.
I want to hear from all of them.
we're gonna offend everybody culturally. So came down south and came to Houston.
Yep. Have lived here now in the Woodlands, and then just started to get involved in the community. I really wanted to do that, and I'm actually part of the Creekside Park Village Association board
nice.
now. I work with.
Both live there.
We both live there.
Okay, awesome.
I'm on the mud board, but so don't yell at me.
Well, you guys have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, we have a lot on our plate.
And just, started getting involved in the community, worked remotely for a little bit, was able to move out of my corporate job, start my own business, and that's where I am now.
Cool. That's awesome.
That is very cool. I'd love to hear about that successful transition.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you?
It looks much easier than it really is.
What? Starting your own business is harder than you expect?
You think it looks really rosy from the outside, but you
course
wear
it
a
does.
lot of hats, have to hire people. It's very different. And I did that in my corporate life, but
Yeah.
doing that as a small business is different, and I'm still learning every day.
We've both done that ourselves.
Okay.
And as I like to say, there's a lot of things that are not in the brochures.
Yep.
Yes, very true.
I'll have to get some tips from you guys later.
My lawyer wife also says, have you formed an LLC for what you're doing? Because what if you get sued for libel or slander?
yeah.
I'm like, I'm probably going to. So, well, that's great. So you're down here in the Woodlands, and so you've been here since when?
Since 2015.
Oh, okay.
And then, we have traveled. I love to travel, and I've gone on solo trips because I just couldn't wait for anybody anymore. Why waste my life waiting?
Solo trips can be fun.
They are. And then you get, you can spend all the time eating wherever
that's
you
right.
want to,
That's right.
Take your time. And I think that's the way my palate kind of expanded as well, so.
Yeah, travel. That's my big thing. Is when I travel, I always like to take advantage of the restaurants that we in the area, the local places. It's funny. I get people who ask me all the time, "What's your favorite place in Vegas?" And everybody always says, "Oh, go to Gordon Ramsay, go to this, go to that." No,
buffet at the-
get off. There's a place called Manta Ramen, off strip, like in the neighborhoods, like way off strip. Get off. Get out of the touristy.
Yeah.
Get out of the big chains and go find something good. So that's cool. Well, welcome to I'm gonna call you a relative newbie to the Woodlands.
Yep, I totally still feel like it.
But it's great. Creekside is fantastic. We both live in that area. Well, cool. So I want to ask you a little bit about restaurants.
Okay.
Because that's kind of what we talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit about social media too. What's your favorite restaurant around here right now?
So right now, just a little outside the Woodlands, we recently got to try Plain and Level.
Very good.
And I think they are doing a fantastic job there. I believe the executive chef there is Thomas Paris.
Yep.
And that whole restaurant's built around a plain wing, which is kind of unique in
Really
its own
cool.
way.
The bar is really cool.
And I think it was very different from what I expected. It's actually set up like a fine dining restaurant. The service was great. They really know their stuff. And they have this amazing wine program where they actually have wines made just for them from Spain. So
So Thomas is a sommelier by trade. And if you can go and watch the Taste Buds videos for Plain and Level at woodlandsonline.com/tastebuds, /video/tastebuds. And very good food. Very good food.
Yep.
And I know that they recently expanded to the kind of the building that was across the pathway from them. So they've got a lot more seating than they did. But the bar is really cool with that plain wing. And the food is very good. Spanish tapas, there's not a lot of it around here. We used to have a Mi Luna up here. That's now El Tiempo. But I think there's still a Mi Luna. There's 1512 tapas in Uptown Park, but there's not a lot of Spanish tapas around.
And he makes fresh paella every Sundays, which is just a fun time to go there and enjoy that. The octopus there, the grilled charred octopus was just amazing. And then we had this goat cheese Basque cheesecake.
Ooh.
And I have been making Basque cheesecakes now because I'm totally hooked on it.
Those are, like you say, Basque cheesecake, like anybody would know what that is. But
I don't know what that is.
Well, that's why. They're so different than like a normal cheesecake. So if you're making them, explain how they're made.
Let me ask a quickie. So in the pronunciation, are you saying Basque or Batch?
Basque. Like the area
BASQUE.
Between Spain and France, the mountainous region. Wow, so it is a cultural regional dish.
Yep. And so it's like a burnt cheesecake. There is no crust to it. You literally pour the entire batter in the sort of tin and bake it, and it burns all over, caramelizes. And you get this really, it's very easy to make, actually.
Yeah, because you're not having to make the crust.
Yeah.
And you just burn it like that lady burnt the Marie Callender's pie.
And had to tell.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a great post.
I love that. Did you see? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You gotta go look at this
Okay.
up. Go look this up. Well, let's see if we can find a picture of it. Frank can find it. It's some woman posted a picture of a burnt the hell pumpkin pie that she had bought, a Marie Callender's, frozen pumpkin pie. And basically she said, "Thanks, Marie Callender's, for ruining my dessert."
Yeah, as if.
And this is actually a good segue. The social media backlash was unbelievable.
It was awesome.
Unbelievable. It's Marie Callender's fault that you turned your oven up to sun and left it in for 3 days,
They can be harsh.
It was
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, one of the things we want to talk about was, you know, social media interactions and impacts on local businesses. And
Well, how about this recent little post about forget about it? That guy, he got beat up pretty hard.
that is the new Thanks Marie calendars. It's, yeah, where you can't you get mad at a local business and post it on social media because you couldn't Google the hours of of when a restaurant is open.
How dare they be closed?
How dare they be closed when they say they are? So what do you think about that? I mean, I know you interact, you know, through your social media, but then from the marketing side as well. I mean, I'm sure you've got opinions on that.
Yeah, I definitely do have opinions. I mean, you know, I think social media definitely can get the word out there. I mean, we wouldn't have known about a lot of places if maybe they wouldn't have been, you know, the social media side. But I think a lot of people also don't realize, you know, how one bad post can affect somebody's family. You know, that's their way of making a living.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that. But on the flip side of that, you know, and I've totally been influenced by this, like lots of pretty pictures, you know, people just looking for that next invite, you know, to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And, you know, you go there and it totally isn't what it's all made out to be, you know? So,
there's the lens of social media that you see these food posts and you know, I do it, I'm sure you do it, other people do it, where food is, and this is one of those things that's always bugged me, and that's actually why I picked the name Subtle Foodie, is because I've got friends who will take a dish when it is served and bring it outside. Like get it from the table and bring it outside because it's better light, or they can stand there and hold the dish and take pictures of it. And when you're with a group of friends, I mean, if you're alone, you know, do whatever you want. But when you're with a group of friends or something like that, it kind of ruins the experience a little bit. I mean, that's the best way that I can say it. You know, chefs are driven to create food that is meant to be eaten
fresh
and enjoyed when it's served, not, you know, and it's just,
I mean, this whole culture of your food eating first, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, don't get me wrong, I am guilty of it. How do you get a good picture, you know, after you've dug into it?
Right.
You know, but definitely when I'm out with people, I'm not social media influencing. You know, the person in front of me is more important. And, yeah, I think it's kind of getting out of hand at times. And the reality, I mean, and that's what I think is happening and what I'm trying to not do with my account. I'm trying to keep it real.
Good.
You know, I think people should see the food as it's served, how it's made. I think the story behind it is important to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Who
that's
created it? Who created it? Yeah.
Or why? You know, what is that history?
What's their story? Yeah. You know, and the concept of, look, social media advertising dollars are advertising dollars, just like any other dollars. But this concept of what I would call social media influencer entitlement.
It's an entitlement.
Of, hey, I've got a big account. I'm going to take a picture. Give me something for free. That's just not.
It's not kosher.
It's not. Well, even if you don't go to a kosher restaurant, it's not kosher.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to find that balance. I mean, my thing is I always want to just get people's story out there. But then again, I don't do this for a job.
Right.
I've got a normal job and do this as a hobby and try and help support. And I understand that some people do. But that kind of entitlement culture, I think you're right, is kind of getting out of hand a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit. But I mean, I was at a dinner last night with at Tris, and you know, there was 5 of us there who were all food. I mean, I'm a food photo guy, but there was people with me who are legitimate food critics backed by publications. And, you know, the food came out and we all took pictures, but then we all ate and we all talked and we all, you know, had a great time. And that's so much more fun to do that kind of thing.
And when you go out with foodies, you know,
exactly.
I think that's just a different experience. Everybody's kind of there for similar reasons. And when it's good food, why not share it? You know?
Well, a positive
But not
experience.
stage it.
Right,
Exactly. And that's the key. Show it as it's meant to be. So, because you're right, you see a post for a Big Mac, that looks incredible, right? To take it to the extreme, that, looks absolutely incredible because somebody styled it a certain way, but then you go in and of course you get a Big Mac.
I mean, and that food and that picture is not even real. It's not even real food, right?
No,
On a
it's
Big
not.
Mac?
In fact, I used to work in that industry, and I actually watched them build a Big Mac, and they ran like 25 different buns to pick the one, just to do the top one and the meat and thing. And then when they had the bun on there, the first thing they did with the bun was seal it with a chemical sealant.
Nice.
Then they came in.
Wait, was this at a regular McDonald's?
This is at a photo shoot for McDonald's commercial. And then I watched them place the sesame seeds,
Yep.
Nice.
even spacing across the bun to make it ideal for picture. This was 25 years ago.
Yeah, and the things you can do with Photoshop now are
Right.
just, I try not to edit my stuff to just, maybe change the lighting and stuff like that, but just to make it look a little bit more pleasing because my pictures aren't very good to start with. So, but editing them to an extreme is just, I don't know, it bugs me.
Well, I know that for me, the adjustments I make are very much lighting and color oriented because I know I'm dealing with a limited lens.
Yeah, right.
So I'm trying to punch it up because very often the food is much better looking in person than pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And pictures don't do it justice so often, especially if you're getting a place where the ingredients are really fresh. And so the purple onions are really purple, and they look almost pinkish in a cell phone pic. You're trying to make, no, you guys are, I'm trying to show you how good this really is.
You want to get it as close to how it is originally.
Yeah. So, speaking of dishes, what's your favorite dish right now?
Ooh, that's like the toughest one for me.
That's hard,
for a mural list. My go-to here is a biryani. I mean,
Ooh. Have you been to Palette?
Yes, I have been to Palette. I think that's the closest to like home style Indian cooking that you can get in this area. But our go-to is Hyderabad House.
Yeah,
They have about 15 different kinds of biryanis. And if you don't know, biryani is like an Indian spice dish, with meat. It can be with vegetables. My favorite's a goat fry biryani.
But it's a rice base.
It is a rice-based dish.
Yeah.
And my favorite is the goat fry. So if
nice.
we're gone, anywhere, I think it's that and corkscrew. I want to come back and, get a whole plate of.
Well, we'll get to corkscrew in a second, but Hyderabad House is good. So that's on Sawdust next to that Hobby Lobby on the.
We did a place there. We did a video there. Has the video gone up yet?
No, we did not do Hyderabad House.
No, I mean
Palette. We did do Palette. No, we have to go. We actually have to go. Unfortunately, we have to go back and taste more because we had an issue with the video. But we're gonna make that happen. Calvin is very nice. His wife is very nice, and they make some fantastic food. But Hyderabad House is very good.
Yep, it's great. Well. And right now, I mean, with the temperatures dropping, I think we are leaning more towards also hot pots and fuzz and.
Yeah, but where do you get a hot pot in the Woodlands?
Well, nowhere here.
Nowhere. You can get pretty good fud a couple different places, but hot pot you can't get here.
We found one in Spring, but we actually recently drove to Bel Air. There's this huge, I guess it's like a big deal in China. It's called Zhao Long Khan. Hopefully I said that right.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And we really enjoyed it. I mean, the variety of meats and that little seasoning bar that, you got to make, I guess, and dip your meat in after. It was an amazing experience. We really liked it.
I love hot pot. The very first place I had it was actually in China. I was in Shanghai on a trip, and it was super rainy, and I was with a friend, and we had to go from the hotel to the restaurant. But being in China is not like being in Mexico or Europe, where you can kind of get a sense of the language and, oh, yeah, that's airport. This is, food, whatever. You can't do that. The language is just way too different. And so we asked the hotel concierge, he says, well, where should we go? We want hot pot. Where should we go? And he says, oh, go down this here, and take this card. And so I was with a friend of mine, and we're walking down the street. It was dark. It was like 11 o'clock at night. It was rainy. And we're walking down the street, and all this neon, because we were near Nanjing Road, which is a big pedestrian walkway in the middle of Shanghai. And we're walking down, and we're holding this card up to the sign to see if we can match it. And finally, we see in a second-story window a row of tables with hot pot on it, and it was so good. It was so good. And I think it was.
So if you hadn't physically seen the row of tables, you probably wouldn't have found it.
No, we definitely would not have. And we would have gotten lost and not gotten back to the hotel. But it was a combination of the food was really good, and it was a new experience for us, but also the environment. We were in Shanghai. It was
Yeah.
this rainy, cold kind of thing, and then you sit down and you get this, delicious hot pot with all the meats and
Right.
stuff. So
And Vietnam, like I've been to China, but only Beijing. Vietnam was like that. You just didn't really know, and it was like these little alleyways of
Yeah,
4-story
right.
buildings, and I wouldn't have ventured there out by myself, but I always do walking tours when I go to
Oh, nice,
anywhere,
yeah.
and then
Oh, okay.
sometimes the tour guide takes you to his favorite lunch spot.
those are the best. Those are the best.
yeah.
spots.
And that's where I had my first buncha. And I've
Okay.
been trying to find, I know buncha is different everywhere, even in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was in Hanoi that I had first
kind of
tried
regional,
it.
yeah.
And I have been looking for a buncha like that. I would say a Bel Air is something pretty
Yeah.
close, but it's definitely a Texas version.
Yeah. So if anybody knows of a place to get it, send
yes,
us a
please
message.
hit me up. And
Please.
Georgian food. That is the other
Georgian
one.
food. So there is Holy Crepe in Tomball,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean she's from Siberia.
Yes.
Very good. Not Georgian, but
More Russian, I would say, because they have
Yeah,
pelmenis
yeah.
and borscht and
and
stuff
I know
like that.
I know I'm conflating like that whole region together.
No, well, it's
Georgian
a-
and Russian
it's
and
a
Siberian
big
is different.
region.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Siberian's a massive region unto itself, and it's not exactly right next to Georgia either.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the geography of the region, it'd be very easy to. I mean, and a lot of people are not familiar with the
Yeah.
geography of the region, so
I know.
it's a challenge.
Georgian food. That's I'm gonna
I even
That's
think-
I'm gonna
specific,
write
though.
that down
Yeah.
because that's one that you don't like actually.
You just think of it as an area of Russia, and that's that. So it's all Russian.
Right.
But-
But
Yeah, right.
They have their own unique dishes. I think one of the things we had there was like an eggplant with walnut sauce, and I would have never
nice.
thought to put those things together. But it
Eggplant,
literally
walnut.
just melts in your mouth. Pretty easy to make. I mean, that's what I've been doing. Go visit places, can't find it, so you gotta,
I'm on a huge eggplant kick recently.
Mm.
A Kokoro in Bravery Chef Hall,
Mm-hmm.
they do a sautéed eggplant that's freaking incredible. And then I've got to remember where it is. I had one the other day that was just amazing. It's like Chinese eggplant.
Yeah.
And it was just so good.
Chinese
Awesome.
eggplant.
Uh-huh.
Now, what did they do that made it special as a unique?
I
as
don't
a
know.
Chinese
It was like
flavored dish.
it was. I mean, it's just kind of got soy and mirin and kind of those kind of
Mm-hmm.
flavors to it, and it's kind of not roasted, but it's almost grilled,
Mm-hmm.
tender but not like mushy.
Well, and eggplant's one of those unique vegetables. It doesn't have a lot of flavor unto itself.
Right, right. But it
It's a
does soak up all that flavor.
It does.
Yeah.
It soaks up really well, and when it's cooked properly, it has a denser texture than a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
But not, like you said, not too chewy, not too gushy.
Yeah.
And that's a reason it's used as a substitute for meat in a lot of sandwiches,
Right.
for example.
Substitute for meat.
And I
never
love
understood
like
that.
charring
Yes,
eggplant. I
yes.
think that's what brings out the flavor, when you kind of roast it that
Yeah.
way.
So substitute meat. I'm gonna get off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Is one thing I can't stand.
Me neither.
Why make them look like chicken nuggets and call them chicken nuggets if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to eat chicken? Just don't eat chicken.
Yes, exactly.
And why
Exactly.
make it look like there's fat and the blood? I mean,
Yeah.
I know they're trying to make it as real to meat,
I can't
but
get through like Beyond Burgers and I just can't.
Well,
I just can't. I don't know. It's a mental block.
That Beyond Meat thing, just to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, if you look at the chemical process by which the vegetables get turned into this meat product,
Yeah.
it is by no means something you want to put in your
Yeah,
body.
right.
It is not healthy by any stretch. And that's another thing, in our pursuit of delicious food, we're always trying to get back to a core ingredient, farm to table.
Mm-hmm.
For many reasons, not only the fresher taste and flavor, but it's healthier. And so when you're taking a bunch of vegetables
Yeah.
and put it through a multi-stage chemically induced
Yeah,
process
yeah.
to turn into something that kind of looks like meat, where you can't tell the difference at McDonald's.
Yeah. Hey, all of my meat is vegetarian. It all eats grass.
That's right. Vegetarian meat only.
So talking about that. So favorite ingredient right now. This is a tough one because I know it changes all the time.
But you said a good point there. Right now,
Right.
Because
Right
as
now, yeah.
foodies, we
This
all
is
go
all
through
right
our
now.
phases that we like and don't like.
Yeah.
We want, we don't want.
So we've been experimenting with like Szechuan peppers. I know
Oh,
pretty
love 'em.
basic, but like I guess in certain styles of cooking. But we smoked a duck for Thanksgiving with Szechuan peppers. It's the second time we've done it, so we've been refining it a little bit, and it's just a smoky, spicy,
Yeah.
flavorful, flavor-induced meat. And so,
And if you've never had
experimenting
Sichuan peppers, they give you this. It's not jalapeno spicy. It's this numbing on
Numbness,
your
yep.
tongue that is kind of interesting.
And it's a slow build.
Yeah, it's not like overly.
doesn't hit you right
terrible.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
It builds until you're crying and you
Yeah,
can't stop.
yeah, that's right. It's
and
good.
and water doesn't stop it.
Mala is kind of like the go-to for that, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
They make a well, they do their crispy chicken with Szechuan peppers, and it's really good. But you do by the end, you're like your mouth is numb, your lips are numb, and it's not a painful burning, but it is this hot, weird,
Oh, you-
tingly.
When I get that little bit of
thing,
sweat
yeah.
right here,
Yeah.
and even to the beginning, that's when I just really.
And they were banned until recently, or
Were they
something
really?
like until 5 years
Szechuan
ago.
peppers?
Yeah, and
That's
then they
weird.
were fine.
I wonder why.
I guess coming in from China, I don't know if it was
Oh,
the
yeah.
heat level, but 5 years ago they approved it to kind of bring it into the
right.
U.S.
Okay, so I'm asking a couple of places, just off the top of your head, favorite tacos.
Oh, well, my favorite taco place is this food truck down on Kilkendall. It's called For You and Me Tacos. She makes
I'm taking
a little,
notes.
Yeah, for yummy tacos.
She makes a little lamb stew on the weekends, and right next to it is Flying Tacos, and I
Oh,
actually
it's
kind of like
Flying
them
Taco. Okay, yeah.
as well. But there's a food truck right next to them
Got
when the line's really long, and
Nice.
she's awesome.
Barbecue. I know you said you said corkscrew earlier.
You know, Corkscrew will always be the first place I think I really, start to appreciate barbecue, because in the Northeast and kind of coming down the Northeast, barbecue is very different. It's a lot of sauce.
They don't have any barbecue up north.
Yeah, it's very different.
They have sauce.
they sauce on top of grilled. That's not barbecue.
Right. So here, sauce is served on the side, which
That's
I
true.
like. It's all about the smoke.
Yes.
So Corkscrew will always be our favorite. But more recently, we've been going to Third Coast.
Uh-huh. Yeah, very
And
good.
I think they're doing an awesome job there as well.
Great pretzel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Burger.
Ooh, a burger in Bordeaux.
It is very good.
Yeah.
It is very good. Their steak frites are the big steak fries are
Yeah.
really good. Very good.
I like the consistency of their meat. How the mixture of how they make their meat. I really like that.
Plus, they have good wine.
Yeah.
They have good wine. Although I like the place next door. What's it called? World Burger.
Oh yeah.
For just like a fast casual,
It is
quick serve
surprisingly
burger.
good. It's unexpectedly
Surprisingly good.
good,
Yeah. Ramen.
Ooh, ramen tatsuya. I think
Yeah.
it's got to be. I want to say it's on Westheimer in Montrose.
Yeah.
And they have these little flavor bombs they serve on the side
yeah.
with yuzu and chili garlic. I
Yeah.
think you can get it different ways, but I really love that. And locally, Aji ramen.
Which is good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. They have a bone broth that they stew all, for 24 hours. I think they keep their pot running, which I
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Well, those are.
I'm a big
I
fan
took
of
some
Aji,
news.
yeah.
I took some notes there on that. There's a couple I gotta try. So, okay, so we're gonna do this questionnaire, and I gotta
Okay.
preface this questionnaire. So this is shamelessly ripped off. If you've ever seen Inside the Actors
I
Studio,
checked it out.
Okay, I'm gonna start dating myself because people I'm gonna be talking to have never seen Inside the Actors Studio. But did you watch it?
I did. A couple
Okay.
of went through that a little. Is James Lipton?
James Lipton,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so the thing is, and he says this too, is that he ripped this off from a French TV show called Apostrophes, which is Bernard Pivot. But he in turn ripped this off from Marcel Proust, which was the original kind of founder of this questionnaire. Now I have changed it. So don't copyright me
for
or
foodie
anything
stuff.
like that, for foodie stuff. So, okay, and so this takes a little thought, but it's rapid fire. What's on the top of your head? What's your favorite food?
Hot pots. I think the one that we just recently had.
What is your least favorite food?
Something with dried shrimp or bitter gourd. Like it is actually a little bit of a delicacy where we're from. I mean, it's had certain times of the year, and I just cannot get behind it. I would never eat it.
I'm not a big dried shrimp.
Yeah, I don't
person
like dried
either.
fish.
Yeah, crickets, dried things like that. Dried like things that aren't supposed to be dried. Just doesn't. So, what turns you on about food the most?
I think like that perfect umami combination of flavors. When all
That's the second answer we've had like that in 2 podcasts.
Okay.
It's almost a trend.
It's almost a trend.
Well, it's almost like the chef made that effort to find, ingredients that kind of
Yeah.
went together that just burst in your mouth and, kind of activates all different areas of your palate. And,
Yeah.
I like
Something
that.
special.
Something
That
special.
effort. Yeah.
What turns you off about food?
Well,
Restaurants. Food restaurants.
I think sometimes when the service isn't like just rude service, and I've definitely had that. I mean, the food can be what it is, and I know different people have different palates, but when people are rude or just do not even want to talk to you about their menu, it definitely turns me off.
So you probably don't like that restaurant that's known for its rude servants.
What is that? Dick's Last Resort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're going there for that experience.
That's
so
true.
that is different. But when you're going somewhere,
It would be
to sit
rude
down-
if they weren't rude.
Yeah, right.
What sound or noise do you love? This can be food related or not. This is just a weird question.
I think just like that crunch of crispy fried chicken. I love that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
So something like sizzling and like oil spurting out. I had an accident where oil had just splattered on my face. So yeah, definitely always worried about
that's
that.
one I would not.
And I recovered from that
Yeah.
pretty okay.
Yeah.
You're a little twitchy from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite curse word? We can say it because it's just YouTube. So,
Right.
You know.
I think it's just one I most commonly use is just what the fuck.
Yep.
You know. Yeah.
That's again a trend. We need to write these trends down.
Well, the F word serves as all parts of speech as well.
It does. It's a verb. It's an
a noun,
adverb.
it's an
It's a
adjective.
descriptor. Yes. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would like to explore being an interior designer. I have been trying to get my certification in that for a few years.
I have a house that is in desperate need of interior design.
I love that. I love kind of like looking at spaces and making them functional, but also beautiful.
Nice. Love it. What profession would you not like to attempt?
You know, I do not think I could work on a farm or in the meat processing industry. I am not a morning person, and I just wouldn't be able to deal with all the smells. I mean, I am okay, hunting, cleaning meat that way, but just in a big processing plant, I
a little
don't
different.
think. Yeah.
That would be gross.
That would be gross. I highly suggest you check out Texas A&M. They have a meat science program at the Rosenthal Meat Science Center, and they do it there. They do a barbecue summer camp and a barbecue summer camp and a brisket camp.
A camp for brisket.
Yep.
Where you learn kind of all this. And I did it in the inaugural years and stuff, but it's still going on. It's going on. It's so popular. They do a lottery for the tickets.
Oh.
Because there's just everybody wants them, and they've got like rules with the lottery. It's pretty unbelievable. And but they do it at the Rosenthal Meat Science Center at A&M, and that is an actual meat processing facility, meaning they bring in live cattle, they cull the cattle, they process the cattle, they process it down into meats, and they do steaks and turkeys and all sorts of stuff. So interesting kind of thing that if you can get into the camp to see that
definitely look
process
into
done.
it.
Yeah, it is. It's that's an unusual thing that people who I love steak and but I would never like to see one processed.
That's funny.
You never like to see where it comes from.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing. Yeah.
And I've known friends that have worked there and like seen photos, and I just don't know if I can put myself through it.
Yeah.
I think processing one animal versus mass doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where also like caring about where your food comes from.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
something.
and understanding what it takes for your steak, your $5 a pound or $20 a pound, ribeye that you get from HEB and under that nice plastic. Where does it take to get it there? It's a food supply chain is a huge issue right now.
I think the place that hit me the most was at Snow's Barbecue because there's like a meat processing thing right down the road, and you can hear them.
Cows are there.
And they literally tell you we've got part of our meat from right down the road. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
very
it's funny you
interesting.
say that. They had a guy on a local radio talk show, and he talked about the topic was jobs that you didn't expect to pay as well as they do. And this gentleman was he had to do with maintenance in a steam plant for the Whataburger processing facility. And because of that job, he was a huge fan of Whataburger. He said anywhere in Texas, your Whataburger hamburger was a live cow only 3 days ago.
Interesting.
And even if it was outside of Texas, it was a live cow no more than 5 days ago.
Wow.
So he's like, between the cleanliness and the speed at which it's done so well, the point is like, wow, that was a live cow only 3 days ago. You don't think of that when it's normal fast food.
I mean, rules and regulations for that kind of thing are just so tight and so important because food security, food and supply chain security is just such a big deal. So, last question: what would be your last meal?
Oh, my last meal. Ooh.
Today.
No, your last meal.
So it would have to be this pork dish that's from the area in India I am, and you cannot get this in restaurants around here. There's one restaurant outside San Francisco that serves close to what we cook at home. So it's just a pork spiced dish called sorpatel, and that is what I would want to eat with a little bit of like steamed bread on the side.
Wow.
That's it.
I think
That would be your last
Must be,
meal.
must be
Wow.
good. Must be good.
And it's like, now I want to try it because
Yeah,
you
really.
kind of a big deal about it, especially something I've never heard of. Then I get like really curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the beauty of a place like India is that it's so large, it's so populous, and I know that the Indian restaurants we get here in Texas is really only a sample, and every sample I've had I've really liked, and it makes me wonder, like, what's the rest of it
Yeah.
like? You
Right.
know,
Well, I mean, you got to imagine. I mean, a country of 1 billion people that's
Over.
fairly geographically spread out through climates.
yes.
Is the northern Indian, central Indian, southern Indian food are all so different, and yeah, I don't think we see a lot of that. I mean, I know Calvin tries to do, his version and kind of expand a little bit, but yeah, there's
I've
so
always
much
gotten the
still
sense
very
that our
food.
Indian dishes here are basically like looking through a keyhole into a room.
I mean, as is with other cuisines, I think a lot of Indian restaurants here are it's just mainly North Indian food, and there's South
okay.
Indian, and that's expanding a little bit. There's East and West Indian, and we don't get any of that. There's a new place called Dagama that's opened up. I want to say that's in the Heights. That has certain ingredients that we use, at home cooking. There's actually an Indian version of a chorizo.
Oh, nice.
Which is spiced with Indian flavors. There are a few places in the U.S. you can get it shipped from to you, but they're cooking with that.
I gotta check that out. I was just down there at Trattoria Sofia, which is
Right.
Ben Berg's new place, the Italian place. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
Thomas Billy actually is head chef of Chivos down there too, which is right down the street. Yeah.
I'm kind of sad he left here, but I'm excited for him.
Yeah, it was a real good move
Yeah.
for him, I think. In fact, I was at Trattoria Sofia and I ran into him there, and he was upset at me. Thomas, I
Why didn't you come to my restaurant?
Well, because I haven't been to Chivos yet, but I only get downtown very rarely,
Right.
and they weren't open. They're not open for Chivos isn't open for lunch yet. So he's like, "Oh, you'll come down to go to Trattoria Sofia, but you won't come to my place." So
Ouch.
I felt bad, Liz, Thomas. I'll be there. I swear. I swear. Melissa, thank you for coming in.
Of
But
course.
before we go, I want you to do me a favor, run down your Instagram and your website,
Sure.
so everybody has them.
So you can find me online on Instagram as The Woodlands Wanderer. I share local eats, escapes, and events around the Woodlands. And if you're looking for help with marketing, if you're a small business or a nonprofit organization that's looking for marketing strategy and just all-around marketing, you can find us as Digital Craftery online.
Awesome. And it's on Instagram, it's at The Woodlands Wanderer, not at Woodlands Wanderer. That's another guy, which if you like trees and people walking around in the forest, that's a great one for you. But this is at The Woodlands Wanderer. The Woodlands. That's
I mean, that's the way the Woodlands is, right?
Yeah,
It
that's
has
right.
the
The
before
Woodlands.
it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It does, actually. Yeah.
It's part of the name. It's official.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much
Thank you for having
joining
me.
us on the Subtle
The-
Foodie podcast. So we
It was
have
fun
it.
chatting with you guys.
Thank you. Well, it was a great time, and we'll have to check. I'm gonna have to check some of these places out. I took some good notes.
Got a full
So
note.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. I believe we are gonna have Campbell Anderson from Orr and Real Estate. So and I want to do one with Roxy and Kurt as well from Forget About It Bagel.
Yes. we
It's
gotta
a
get
cool new
Roxanne in
place.
here, yeah.
We'll have a Taste Buds video actually up on that pretty soon. Fantastic bagels if you've never done bagels. But Inc. is a restaurant real estate company. I want to get a little info from him on how the restaurant real estate business is going now, and that part of the
That'll be
industry.
interesting,
So
yeah.
thanks for joining us, guys. Frank, thanks for
Thank you, Anthony.
being
as always.
here. Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Thanks, guys.